and welcome back to another episode of Are You Not Entertained? With us entertaining people. Well, we think so anyway. But we're back.
No one else bloody does.
No one else seems to. No one watches. Don't know why we even do it. The only person
who watches
is my mum. Mine and Peter's mum is a regular watcher. Apart from her, no one really does. So hi, Mum.
She loves us.
She does. I wish more people would. And on that note, like us, love us, subscribe to us. Please be our friend. Please share us, tweet us, talk to us. We need human contact. Now, everyone does, but we just want to socialise, and that's why we're bloody here. But we're back, chaps, and I don't want to know how you are. We went into that depth-wise last time. We spoke about it properly. Today, I just want to know how you're feeling about Spurs. In fact, in one word, I want you to say what you thought of the last performance. Ollie, in one word, what did you think of our last game?
Foundation.
Foundation. So just something that could be completely away from right.
Cryptic, very cryptic.
And Peter, cryptic. Thanks, boys.
Cryptic.
Thanks for that. That's exactly what we were looking for. Fine. And I would say eclectic.
Oh. Is that your word of the day, Jez, that one?
No, it's actually my missus keeps saying it, so it's been embedded in my brain.
I mean, I do have one piece of news.
Go on. His mug's arrived!
My mug is here. I'm officially part of the trio.
I knew this is something thick then. I was about to say, everybody else's mug says it the right way round.
Oh, no.
Foolish.
My one's been printed backwards.
But on today's show, chaps, we're going to talk about Wycombe, the game that we obviously just recently played, and go into a bit of depth of how certain players played, like a bit of a debate on Bale as well, before we sort of come out of that one. And of course, we'll talk about Tanguy. So Pete, don't worry. Yes. We will talk about Tanguy. Then we'll go into the world of football. Then we'll do a bit of six-a-side, and then we'll do some predictions for a massive game that's coming up on
Tanguy. Can we quickly talk about our predictions for Sheffield United?
Ollie, what were the predictions? Take us in.
Dare I?
You dare.
So, all right, Sheffield United there. So we had Jerry at 2-0. Wrong. A second Spurs goal in the last 10 minutes. So that didn't happen, did it? I don't believe. No. I said 1-0 and a VAR disallowed goal. Didn't happen. Peter said 1-1. Of course, he was optimistic with the scoreline. However, for the first time on the pod, we have a correct niche prediction, which was 90 minutes for our saviour, Tanguy Ndompele. So well done, Peter. A correct prediction in the niche variety for you. I'm not sure how that works in terms of a scoring system, but
I think it's worth $1 million.
We will.
Whoa.
We'll come back to that. We'll circle back around to the scoring.
Exactly. We'll decide that down the line. We'll do just the 1 point, obviously, for the correct score line, and then we'll
just so we know when we do decide. I would like to vote for $1 million.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a democracy on this pod. Democracy.
Absolutely. And I also want it done. Right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the game, chaps. So obviously the scoreline looks quite flattering. 1-1. We did have a lot of chances. Our score, who got the goals? Bale got the first one. Could have had a few more, if we're honest. Bale got the first. Then Winksy popping up with quite a nice finish, actually. And then, of course, Tanguy Ndompele grabbing a couple wonderful goals for the Spurs as well. So let's talk the first half really as well before we go into it, because they were a handful. They were. I love their gaffer, by the way. Absolute rock star. He runs that club as well. They definitely weren't like that before. Now it's got rock and roll football at the top of the music that gets played when they go out. He is the absolute just a pillar of that football club, which I do love. And he seems a nice chap. He was not what I remembered. I didn't remember him looking like that, being such a character. His rock and roll jacket was definitely not suiting the temperature of what it was going to be out there.
Did you hear him say he's the lead singer of a band as well?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he's incredible.
And it's called something like Blood and Death or something. I can't remember what it's called. It's called like Blood, Death and Tears or something like that.
And then he's got the nice
It's a proper rock band,
heavy metal band.
In your mind. You'll quickly find it.
Absolutely. But then in his interviews, he comes across so well, doesn't he? Just the nicest chap in the world. So
yeah, he speaks well.
And you said, Pete, like me and Ollie were sort of mocking him at the start of the game, and you said how much you like him. So your memory's obviously better than ours.
I remember him. Last time I saw, I'm pretty sure he was their manager when we beat him.
Yeah.
He's been like
He's
nine
time round. So
for 8 years.
he wasn't
Been a manager for.
He wasn't like that. But he's quality, man. Really good.
The band's called the Cold Blooded Hearts. So free promotion there for you, Mr. Ainsworth. You're welcome.
Yeah. Go watch them. Go listen to their music. It's absolute vibes, I hear. Right, but let's go. Let's talk more about the game. So the first
Just a quick one, boys. Southampton are 1-0 up inside 3 minutes against Arsenal.
Who scored?
Beautiful.
Stuart Armstrong.
He does all right, Armstrong. A goal. Great start. They're happy with that. Take that, Albert.
No free promotion for Albert. Gareth Ainsworth, yes. Not for Albert.
No, fair enough. But yeah, finally, let's get into the bloody game. So
actually, Joe, just one more time, Jake.
No, I won't have it. Let's talk about the first half, because obviously they scored first. What did you make of Toby's performance? Talk about that, because this obviously was a bit of a moment. Their big striker caused a lot of problems. Pete, what did you think in the first half? Was you particularly positive, or was you thinking that we were going to come back, we were going to solve it, or was you worried?
I don't know. I think it's easy to sit there at the end of the game and say 4-1 was flattering. When you think of the chances we had, it probably wasn't. Yep. It was flattering because we scored 3 of them right at the death. But before that, we had a lot of big chances to score and kind of kill that game off. I said to you boys at the time, I thought they were both Toby and Sanchez they were being thick with their big centre forward. And I think it was potentially ego of like, we play for a Premier League team, a very good Premier League team. You're bottom of the Championship. You shouldn't be able to bully us. So they stupidly went tight a lot of the time, and that's what cost the goal. And I just think they need to, like you said, just leave their egos at the door. Let him just be not touch tight, but not as tight. So you've got an arm's length. Let him take it down and go backwards. We're happy for him to go backwards. Fair play. You can take a touch and work from there. You're not going to create much from it. So yeah, I thought it was more egos than anything else kind of getting in the way there. I think, Ollie, I agree with what you said. I don't think Jose will forget it, the way he turned Toby. I don't think Toby will start against Liverpool now. Maybe not off the back of that. I think he was having his doubts already. But yeah, I think like it was a weird one, wasn't it? Because it was so late, it feels like we were lucky. But if we're being honest, we should have wrapped the game up long before that. It should have been dead and buried. So yeah, I think ego is more than ability-wise that went, to be honest.
I think for me, it's a game we would have normally lost or drawn and gone to extra time and into penalties. I think with Mourinho, he sort of like took no shit in the fact that he was like, right, I'll bring Kane on, I'll bring Son on. And in the past, we've been naive to the fact that we can do that. You know, and that sounds silly, but I feel like there are times where we've kind of done it in a panic, whereas under Mourinho, in that game, it felt like he knew we were better. It was just a matter of time of when we would score. And I think that was, but like I said, watching it as a fan, like the frustration was like, here we go again. I mean, as you said, to say that with the score, I flattered them, I definitely wouldn't agree with. They had one chance and they scored. And we had countless chances. I mean, Gareth Bale could have scored 4 conceivably on a normal day for him. But that's when I sort of said that I felt like it was a foundation. I felt like it was a good start of something in terms of like Mourinho in that sense, like having Bale, like I think he could move on from this, you know. And Ndombele came on, was like absolutely world class again, just highlighting the fact that he deserves to be playing. And just things like that for me, it's the start of a real good sort of mentality shift as well, I think, for some of the players.
I think it could. I like you saying foundation for Bale. So I mean, I saw like some people going different ways. Some people slammed him because obviously you have to agree his finishing wasn't up to much. Obviously he did get his goal. We just give it a little tickle and it went to the back of the net. But the other chances he had, he didn't really catch it right, or he didn't put enough power on it. He looks a bit awkward. His shot technique is usually very impressive, or it's always been impressive throughout his career. Just looks a little bit off, and I think it's confidence. But talking about like him stepping up, I did think he played quite well in the second half. Like first half, we were like begging him, we were like, "Come on, Gaz, mate, please just net one." or put one away, put one in their bloody onion bag, because we're starting to worry about him, like him just not having anything left, sort of thing. But then, yeah, he progressively played better. And I actually thought his tail went up when some of the better players came on. It felt like to me when Kane come on, or when Sonny was near him, and when he saw that Tanguy was playing as well, he went, all right, cool. And he sort of stepped up a bit, and he looked a bit more cultured. And I thought he played with just more talent in general. And maybe that is a problem with his psyche, a bit of his ego, like saying, well, I shouldn't be playing in this setup. I shouldn't have to play with these players, because some of his passing was really off in the first half. Some of his shooting was pretty poor, as we already said. So it's a strange one, but I just genuinely still believe, and maybe it's because I love him so much, that if he gets to play in the proper side in some of the Premier League games and gets some minutes going, I do think he'll turn up, and I do think he'll prove to be useful. Maybe not be extravagant, but certainly have some big moments that could win us games. He wants to go into that sort of Ronaldo side, where Ronaldo's gone, well, I don't have to run around as much anymore. I know it's hard in the Mourinho side, but I can't be sprinting all the time. I don't need to be on the ball as much, but what I can do is just bury one. And I want Bale to get into that sort of mode of just going, well, I will affect games massively with goals, because that's the biggest thing. But let's talk about Bale just very quickly. I don't know if you boys have anything to add to that, but Pete, what did you think of him? Was you hopeful, or were you a bit disappointed?
I don't feel like he needs to get slammed. It's the first time I've really seen him take. I know it's Wycombe and whatever, but it's the first time I've seen him try and take people on for pace, and in over short spaces as well, like pushing past in the box and then getting to the byline. I've not seen him do that yet, which was quite nice. Yeah, I thought he was all right. I think he was unlucky. His header he probably should have done better with. He had one on the edge of the area which wasn't far away. And then he hit one into the right, into the side net with his right. Arguably, he should be finishing it, but it's his weaker foot, so you can forgive him. I thought he was all right, man. I don't think he deserved to get slammed. I understand people are getting frustrated, but the boy's had no minutes since he's been back. Like, what do you want from him? And you do worry that he's going to keep breaking down. There was a point right at the end where he trudged over to take a corner off of Kane, and I looked at him and thought, are you limping? Like, what have you done now? Like, just really worried about that side of his game. But yeah, I thought he was all right. That's all it was. I thought he was all right. And there was glimmers of hope that he could start to come good, like you say.
I'll tell you one point to him. Like, I was a bit worried about him a couple of games back, well, second games, when he played a couple of while back, a few games back, because I was watching him, he didn't make many runs off the ball. But then I watched a Spurs-Arsenal game from like the Vault that was recently on Sky Sports. So I think it was the 4-4 actually, or whatever game it was. But Bale was playing in it, and I'm watching him at his palm, and he didn't do that. He didn't do it anyway. He still moved around the same way. He just kind of walked around every now and then. He picked up the ball. He takes players on looking slow, even though he's quick. He does it in that sort of slow motion mode, doesn't he? When he beats players, it looks really easy, and like he doesn't really need to get into a higher gear. So that did make me a bit more hopeful as well, because I thought, oh, maybe I'm looking at you, remembering something that wasn't actually what you did, and asking you to be putting a load of sprints, when actually you never did that. So that made me a little bit more hopeful as well, because I was thinking, I'm expecting something that you don't do. It's not part of your game. So that Wycombe game, seeing him take players on without looking like he needed to work that hard, was a real sign of hope for me again. Where I don't want to say hope again, but I believe he will come good. And I'm going to bloody say that, and I think he's going to.
For me, it was the first time I watched him play. You thought, okay, maybe there is a player in there still. You know, the lot of the Europa League games, you could argue a similar standard in terms of, or maybe even a lower standard than Wycombe, because Wycombe, you know, the Championship is a very good league. Let's not joke about that. But you know, you watch him, you think, okay, maybe you actually have still got something left to prove, and you know, and it would just be so him to actually go and score in the final and win or something. You know what I mean? That's kind of the player. He almost became at Madrid. Like he turned up in the finals, and I think the commentator even said in the game, if this is a Champions League final, he probably scored a hat trick. You know, he seems to be one of those players where, you know, he likes the pressure, and I think having people slam him and having people get on his back is going to be a good thing for Gareth Bale, because I think, you know, he accepts the fact of where he is at the minute. You know, the minute he's playing against Wycombe. However, that's not where he should be, and I think he's aware of that. He knows that, and I think Mourinho knows that as well. And that's why I think Mourinho is almost kind of the perfect guy for him, because he will push him. And he will make him play against Wycombe. He'll make him play against Marine, and you know, and he'll make him do it. to prove and to earn the fact that he should play in the games that he actually wants to play in and the games that he will play well in. That being said, I don't think he'll play on Thursday, but I'd love if he did.
No. I agree, but Mourinho did praise him a lot. You're right. You give him a lot of praise at the end of the game. He also praised, of course, Tanguy Ndompele and Tanguy Ndompele.
I like Ndompele. I've not heard that one yet.
Well, let's trademark it.
Let's get it done. Let's get T-shirts and mugs and stuff.
Copyright, get it on the mugs. Are you not entertained, you Tanguy Ndompele over there? That's too long. It's too long. We'll work on it. We'll sort it out. But Tanguy came on. I saw he got voted man of the match on
How mental is that?
Instagram, which I thought was a bit unkind to him. But I mean, if you play for 20 minutes, can you win it? But then again, he came on, he was quality. So let's talk about his last goal. Peter, I'm going to open it to you actually because he's your guy. You love him. You love him. You love him particularly.
Mate. My biggest thing is, before I get into that, is when we were saying earlier about having to bring on the big guns. I don't mind. I just wish we didn't have to. Do you know what I mean? You want to get through that game where you go, actually, our B team is good enough to get through this. But anyway, that's enough of that. They came
on paper, our B team is. In reality, they're just not.
Exactly, yeah. But I did say to you, like I said to you both at the time, who's taking this game by the scruff of the neck when it gets to that point where we haven't quite broken them down yet. And there weren't no one there and he had to bring on the big guns. But yeah, Tanguy was unreal. I've got this app on that I follow that just sends me all the Premier League goals called One Football. And they did the FA Cup team of the weekend and he was in it. And I was like, he played like 23 minutes of football or whatever it was when he come on. You can't put him in the team of the weekend. I know he scored 2, but that seems harsh. He's just class, isn't he? He is becoming every bit the player we hoped he would be when we signed him. And I think it's testament to him in the fact that he's turned it around, especially there was points where we thought he's not, why should he? And even down to the fact that like there's no fans in the stadium, so he's not got that G in him on when he plays. He would have felt, because I feel like the majority of Spurs fans would be backing him in the stadium and kind of being on his side, whereas when it's an empty stadium and you're getting lugged off by Mourinho and there's no one cheering your name, it's a lot harder to sort of to trudge off and stuff. So yeah, the boy's just class. And we said when he come on, he was going to do bits. I was reading on Sky Sports, they did us a bit of injustice. They gave us a real bit of praise and then a bit of injustice. I was reading through their match report and they said that Winksy bent one into the top corner. And I was like, no, it was like middle of the goal, halfway up, if that. And then they said for Ndombele's first one that Son's deflected shot ricocheted into his path and he tapped home. I was like, you even watched the game? Mental. So crap. But I love him. There's nothing the man can't do. So much so that I've traded him into my fantasy football team this week.
Wow. Big move.
He is, like you say, Pete, a Spurs player, isn't he? Like he's a Spurs fans player, like a Ginola. That's the kind of mode I see him in, and we at Spurs, like Spurs fans, just historically love that kind of character.
Yeah,
that player that's just a bit flash. It doesn't even need to like traditionally. I mean, if you look at when Ginola won Player of the Year, he didn't barely get any assists or goals that season, did he? But our fans would have been absolutely lauding him because of the.
I can't remember another player like that. He's similar to Dembele, but Dembele is not as skillful as he is. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember anyone being like that since Ginola, to be fair. That just trick bag of tricks and skip. But then he's
able to rapt.
And able to rapt, yeah. But who actually backed it up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go on, go.
I've just been watching the Amazon documentary, the All or Nothing one. And it was the episode where they had Ndombele with the meeting with Levy. And it's amazing to see that player now being the player that actually he's done all that he said he was going to do. You know, he said that he wasn't 100%, he wasn't concentrating, you know, his head wasn't in it. And the praise he was getting from the backroom staff in terms of sort of like his ability and skill. And there was a really nice little clip of him against Sanchez and he chops him like 4 different times across the box and he buries one. And Mourinho just turns around, you see him just smirking. And I think they all knew the player was in there, but he just had to get the mentality to back it up and to prove to himself and to everyone else that he deserved to sort of have the tag of being our most expensive player and all that sort of stuff that was possibly weighing him down. that's not even spoken about anymore. He's not potentially a flop anymore. He is the player that, like you said, we thought we'd bought, and he's living up to that hype, and long may it continue.
I love listening to Rio talk about how when they were saying he'd been chatting to Joe Hart, and what Joe Hart was saying about him, saying like, this kid's a well beater, like you can't get the ball off him, he's just unbelievable. Just it's nice to hear that, because that's the sort of side of the game. That's why the Amazon documentary is so interesting and so good, because you get to get that sort of behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't normally get, and that's the sort of thing I love. That sort of thing, just hearing like other players' opinions of each other. It's like when they used to do teammates, and every Spurs player used to go like player's player, and they'd say Moussa Dembele every time. I'd like to see someone do it now and see what they say.
See if Tanguy gets in.
Probably up there, wouldn't
he? With his second goal, and like, stay with me when I say it's like, when I watched it, I thought it's like a Sunday League goal, which maybe sounds like I'm taking the mick out of it. The reason I think it was like a Sunday League goal is because he makes the defenders look so shit. Like when he does the double little snaps back. Yeah. Like I watched it, and then both defenders sort of twisted, and he just nailed it into the near corner. When ultimately your brain should be aiming to go to the other side. He just flips it to the other side, and he does it just without even really thinking, and the defenders look embarrassed. And I watched it, and I thought, you see that kind of goal sometimes in Sunday League when a player is like playing for a team that they're much above. They're above that. They shouldn't be having to play against these players, but they're helping their mate out for Sunday League or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're just awesome. They're just much better than those players, and that's how it looked to me. And yes, they're Championship, and he's a Premier League player, but I've seen him do these sort of things and beat players in moments like that. And I just think you just look like you should be playing in a different planet, or you should be playing in a different game than this, because these players aren't going to get the ball off you. So when Joe Hart obviously says you can't tackle him, I believe him.
Can we talk about the goal? For me, that's not a no-look goal. I'm not quite sure. There's a picture of him not looking when he shoots. And like the Spurs have been like, he's not like no-look goal. And I'm like, no. He's just shot, and his momentum's taking him like that. It's not a nonchalant.
I haven't seen the thing of it, to be honest.
People have seen it. It's you know, like Firmino does it quite a lot. He properly like looks away and finishes.
The other way,
yeah. They're saying that's what Ndombele did, but I'm not having that.
I didn't think he looked the other way. I think he kind of fainted as if he was going to pass, but he was still seeing that he was going to shoot, but moved his head.
It's just a picture. He's literally looking the other way, and his body's facing. That's just because he's completely changed the sort of position of the ball, isn't he? He's moved his body to, like you say, to fake to the sort of right, but go left corner. And it's the way his head's ended up like back there. But he's not gone like a typical
not to take anything away from him, because
apart from that, it was a really good goal. And like I say, he sent the boys off to the ground next door, didn't he? Really, let's be fair.
Exactly, sent him abroad to go catch his groceries for him. Right, let's move on. Let's go into the
also, we didn't speak about his goal against Sheffield United.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Probably should have brought that up.
No, it's just a special goal, and I know some people are trying to say he didn't mean it, but he
absolutely meant it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't think he sees anyone else in this, so I think his brain just goes, "I've got no choice. I'll just try and lob him."
Yeah,
and he does it.
Unreal, so good.
Unbelievable. Watching it, I just said, "Wow." So
because I'm always a little bit ahead of you two, aren't you? Because mine's through my box and yours is through your. I'm one step ahead of you. And I just put in there, didn't I? I said, "Just wait, boys. Just you wait." It's unbelievable. It's so good.
And boy, did we!
We waited on tender hooks.
Yeah,
and I think he's just about to burst through. Like, I was thinking about putting him in my fantasy team as well, people. You've done it first, but I just feel like he's about to explode in assists. I know he's bagged a few goals, but from the games I've been watching, he's been playing players in. They haven't, like Sonny's one where he hits the post, for example.
Yeah, came one for
I reckon in the next like 5 or 6 games, he's going to explode with a bunch of assists. I just expect that to happen. That might be a little. Yeah. No, I can't put that as a niche thing. It has to be for one game.
If he has a man of the match display against Liverpool and we win comfortably, like that would be it for him. He'll just move on to another level, because that will just bring his.
That'll be it for him. His football career will be over.
But no. In terms of like, he won't look back from that point. Like that will be the point where it changes for him. Like, you know, because players have that moment. It's like with Bale. I think this could be a moment for him if again Liverpool or whatever, or in a cup, something like that. Something happens. You know, you wait for that click moment, and that's when you know.
Bale's going to do nothing until we play Man City in the League Cup final. He's going to bury one.
And you take that, wouldn't you? It's 40-yard screamer, like happy days.
And it was worth every penny.
In 5-1 defeat.
Honestly, I would snap that out. But chaps, if you're happy, should we roll into the world of football?
We certainly can.
Yes, mate.
All right, let's get into the world of football. I think there's only one place to start, really, and that is with Fat Frank, who's just been sacked by Chelsea. The latest of the many, many victims of that football club, and Abramovich or Obram Gonovich, or whatever you want to call him. He can't come here, but he will sack people immediately if they cause any trouble whatsoever. And I was speaking to Ralph earlier, Pete, a friend of ours, and all you know Ralph. And the people out there, he's a good guy. Meet him.
Friend of the show, Ralph.
You can meet him, please do. But he was saying that Abramovich reminds him of the Russian villain in Rock and Roller.
Oh yeah.
Is it Rock and Roller? Yeah, in Rock and Roller. And so good. And I thought that is it. He could easily be there just putting out as someone just beats the shit out of Frank Lampard.
Yeah. Where's my lucky painting?
Exactly that. But what do we think? Do we feel sorry for Frank? I know obviously the ties are Spurs, Chelsea, and he's not going to be our favourite man on the planet, but he was a special player. He's probably Chelsea's best ever player, isn't he? And
I think they bought him time that he didn't earn.
You thought he had time he didn't earn? You would have sacked him sooner, would you?
Yeah. If he was anyone else other than Frank Lampard, he would have been sacked a couple of months ago.
Oh, a couple of months ago, he was up in the Champions League places, and I was thinking a title bid was there.
A couple of months ago, they were top of the league, mate.
Okay, a month ago then. Maybe not a couple of months, but I think he got more time.
Shut
up! You stupid idiot.
I think he got
it's
more
like,
time because of who he was, rather than his actual skill as a manager.
It's like Jamie Redknapp. Jamie Redknapp got quoted 2 quotes. One about Frank Lampard having lost 5 out of 8 games, saying he needs more time. And then like last week or at the weekend, he watched the Newcastle game. I think it was on Monday night against Villa, and they lost 6 out of 8. And he was like, "It's not good enough. He's got to go." It's like you're a little bit of a hypocrite there, Jay. A little bit of a hypocrite. Personally, I know it's Chelsea and we shouldn't, but I'm gutted for him, man. I think it's such a shit run football club the way they do things.
You say that, but they're successful.
Yeah, but it's just in terms of don't shit on people to do it though, man. Fair enough, be successful, but I get it. I understand it from a business point of view. Abramovich is a genius, and in terms of successes, but I felt it was harsh, man. I felt it was really harsh. They were 5 points off the Champions League. What killed him was the money they spent and Werner being a flop, Havertz being a flop so far. Ziyech got injured and hasn't really done a lot. That's what's killed him. Okay. And now they've confirmed Tuchel today, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, and he'll be they won't get along. Tuchel is famous for like rubbing up boards the wrong way and being extremely meticulous and detailed in what he wants and what he says has to happen, and he falls out with boards very quickly, but probably works out because he doesn't really last longer than 2 years. He doesn't really want to be around people for longer than that. So him and Chelsea could be a match made in heaven. Once it's finished, no problem. But speaking about the business model of it as well, it can't be. They're lucky, Chelsea, for their success and the way they're run, and obviously it's because of Abramovich, but because he doesn't matter to him how much money it costs to pay off those contracts, to get rid of those managers. Millions down the drain, no problem. Chelsea's his toy and he plays with it and does whatever he wants. And if someone is like not sharing his toy or not doing as well with it as he would like, he snatches it back and he gets rid of them. And that's how he runs the club. I heard Neville talking about it, and he was like, "Look, I don't think Lampard wants me to feel sorry for him. I don't think anyone should feel sorry for him." He said, like, he knew what he was getting into. Could Frank Lampard have turned down the Chelsea job? Of course not. But did Lampard know that if he didn't succeed immediately, he'd get sacked? Yes. But I think it also becomes a bit more sinister because there's no fans. So it's like, it just seems sneakier, like behind their back, and like nothing the Chelsea fans can really do about it. Well, you're not here, so you can't moan. Like, get over it.
It's similar to the Tanguy thing that we were saying, weren't we, about how well he's done to turn it around, considering there's no fans there backing him. And I think I said something about that in the group chat the other day. Like, it's actually no fans is hindering hindering Lampard, because if there were fans in the stadium, they'd be backing him. Yeah, so that's like you say. That's what makes it feel sneakier.
That's a great point, actually. Like, he's probably been harder done by that than any of the gaffers in the Prem, because yeah, like Arteta's an old Arsenal player, but he's not loved the way like Lampard is for Chelsea. He's not as big of a deal as Lampard. And
does it taint his legacy at Chelsea at all?
I don't think so. I think they'll love him even more.
Yeah, I think because of how it happened that it won't go against him.
Bit
I do think, though, I think he's another example of a manager getting a job that he's just not qualified to have.
He got, did you see the quote from him, though, about AVB?
Yeah, there you go.
Which is interesting. It was like, he basically said that maybe when AVB was there, it was too soon. He was probably too young. It was too big a job for him. And it was a bit like, oh, that one's come back to bite you in the ass.
Well, it's like, I think it was Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football talking about, Lampard and Gerrard being managers and stuff like that, and himself and Gary Neville and stuff like that. And he was bang on. Like, as a manager, in your first, second year, you shouldn't be managing a Premier League club. Like, it just shouldn't happen. You need to go off, and you look at the Klopps and people like that who have been. It was at Mainz for 7 years, and had all the ups and downs you could go through as a manager, and you got to earn like those jobs. And I think it's crazy to think that Lampard even had the Chelsea job. In my opinion, I think he did a very average job with Derby. He had Mason Mount, Fikouri Tomori, and Harry Wilson in that team, and only finished 6th in the Championship. Like that's not good enough. When you then take those players and they start for a Premier League Chelsea team, like that's just not good enough. So I think he might be a good manager, but I think it's difficult because, like you said, you can't turn the Chelsea job down. It's the same as if Liverpool tried to hire Steven Gerrard, he wouldn't say no. Like Jamie Carragher wouldn't say no, but they probably should say no for their own careers as a manager, because it's just too soon. It's too big of a job, and you need to find your style as a manager and your way of playing. And part of that is how do you actually convey that to the players? And if you've been doing it for a year and it doesn't work first time round, you're getting sacked, and you've had no chance to develop as a manager. You've not really learned anything. So I think you'd start to doubt yourself very quickly. Versus, someone like a Klopp or something like that who'd been there and he's got his style. He's implemented it at Mainz, did it at Dortmund, and then he's gone to Liverpool and done it. And I think it's harsh. It's harsh, but I think it's possibly fair.
It's like there's no other like place in the world, business in the world where you can be a player and then you suddenly become like I can't think of it. Like there's no way in the world, in like the best restaurants in the world, where this geezer was the best waiter they had for 10 years. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they went, tell you what you want to try and do, come be the head chef.
Yeah.
Like there's no other place in the world where that happens. I can't even like think of one. So it just seemed like a big, and like you say, he couldn't have said no. I like what Gerrard's done. I think.
Yeah, but that's just.
And actually, Lampard did the right thing by going to Derby first. You can't go straight into a big job. But like you say, he couldn't say no. There's no way he was going to say no. And I hope he comes good. I hope he goes back down the pecking order a little bit, 100%. Goes to a lower league club, or go to somewhere like Scotland. Yeah. Go Celtic. They're looking for a new manager.
I mean, I would even suggest with Gerrard that Rangers was almost a too big a job at the time, being his first job. Now, the Rangers have got a very rich history, and I know they weren't at the level they are now, but they're pretty much walking the league now. So that shows that Gerrard's got something about him in terms of management. So
how good would that be, though? Lampard, Gerrard, Celtic, Rangers. That'd be wicked.
Quite ironic, wouldn't it?
I'd love that.
That would be enjoyable. And with Gerrard, like, yes, Rangers is a big job and it is a big famous club, but he got to grow with them because he was able to take hold of them when they weren't in the strongest position.
That's right.
It was nice. So he got to learn at a club that they could then be a big club. So that's kind of perfect.
Right. And it's not Chelsea. It's very different levels. I mean, if you went to Liverpool, very different.
Yeah. And it does have to be said for Frank that it was an impressive feat that he managed to get Chelsea in the Champions League
100%.
Last season with the team he had. It was impressive. And I do think like what hurt him the most, like we said, was making the big signings, and then also those signings haven't come good. And whose signings were they? Did he want Timo Werner? Did he want Kai Havertz? Who knows? And by the way, if you remember, chaps, I said that Havertz would be a big old flop.
You did say Havertz would be a big old flop, but you also said that Werner would be a big old success.
I said Werner's got everything he needs in his arsenal to be a great Premier League striker.
I've actually just seen there's a Twitter page for days the last time Werner scored in the league, and it's currently at 79, I think it was.
When he missed that pen the other day, you just knew he was going to score it. You just knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't want it. You could see it all over his face.
What would you boys think of that? Someone who needs a goal and they have an opportunity to take a penalty. would you like? Would you think? Do you think they should
What
take
was the
it,
score
or
at
they
the
should
time?
wait?
What was the score at the time? 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
I think then just go down the middle, get your goal.
Yeah.
Drill it
It's
down
one
the
of
middle.
those. You score happy days, you miss. It's 10 times worse, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's more the choice of whether or not you take it. Some people are like made penalties. Peter will admit himself he's not a keen penalty taker. He doesn't.
So bad, man. Awful.
And it's just because it's a pressure moment. Like I'd be the opposite. I would take a penalty if I was having a bad run of form. But then as soon as I'm about to take it, your brain goes, oh, spews on you. Oh, what if I miss? If I miss, this is going to be the worst moment in the world. But a penalty should be a gift. But when you're not confident, it is daunting. It is daunting. And his penalty was bad. It was the safest penalty he could have done. Just this, obviously could have gone down the middle, but the safest, like normal pen. I'll go bottom right to my right, and he just put it at the perfect height for him. It just screamed of desperation. Like, I don't believe I can do this. I'm just going to try and hit the target. I'm aiming for the corner, but I'm scared I'm going to put it wide. So I end up putting it so far in. But yeah, enough about Chelsea. Let's get away from
just again, talking about bad penalties, I had another reminder of why I can't wait for us to get rid of Jedson Fernandez. In the documentary, they showed the penalty shootout against Norwich.
Yeah.
And you've got, because I forgot how bad his penalty was, but you got the Troy Parrott one. Again, you watch it, it's like you're going to miss. Like, don't take it. And you saw the Jedson penalty. I remembered as soon as he stepped up, I was like, oh no, this is awful, isn't it? And he just rolls it, the P-rolls it in the corner, and it's just like, yeah. Please sign him, Torino. Please take him from us. We don't want to waste any more of his career.
He needs to get gone. It's a waste for him and it's a waste for us with him being there. And I'm also touching on Parrott, having a bit of a struggle with his loans.
Yeah.
And what I saw the other day, like he hasn't scored or got an assist, has he?
No, it's not always a bad thing when you're young as a striker, though. When you've grown up in an environment where everyone says you can be the best and you struggle, I think that's a good thing. Harry Kane learned a lot from that.
Go to Millwall and have a tough time.
Yeah.
Could work for you. A couple of things. I mean, we won't really speak about Tuchel, but he's obviously got the nod and been given the job today. Everyone knew that was going to happen. I think as soon as Tuchel got sacked, they probably started touching him up and trying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Started touching him up.
Yeah, that's what they do, mate. that's what the Russians do.
Show me on the doll where he touched you.
He touched you up. Arsenal are winning now, boys.
Yeah, I know. I saw.
And Arsenal have also just loaned in Odegaard. I don't have too much to say, but I don't really know about him. The only thing I took from it was I think it's a bit sad, and I kind of enjoy the fact that Arsenal, a club like Arsenal, are happy to loan a player for like 5 months with no option to buy. And I think that's quite like a desperate state of affairs. So I was like, yeah, all right, I kind of like that.
He is very good, though.
I don't know anything about it.
It's a really interesting. I think it's actually a very good transfer because it's a free hit for them. If he doesn't succeed, they're out scot-free. And if he does succeed, I'm sure there'll be something in there where they've got some priority in terms of signing him. But no, he was like the wonder kid, wasn't he, at a time? And, he had a really good season last year, really good season at Real Sociedad, and he got brought back in January and then didn't play at all for Madrid, which is a weird decision. But then the same again this year, he's not played, he's gone out on loan. It could be a really good signing. I mean, they're crying out for an attacking midfielder. I mean, they're playing Smith Rowe, which, a club like Arsenal, that's not potentially a player to be chucked in there straight away. So it'd be interesting. I'm intrigued by it, if I'm totally honest.
Smith Rowe is a tidy player. He's got a bit about him. He's come into the team. I've watched him a few times for Arsenal, obviously hoping that they lose every time. But he's a player that I've watched and I've gone, yeah, he's comfortable. Like everything he does looks quite simple. He understands the game. He's clever. I do rate him, and it surprised me he hasn't been playing sooner, to be honest. Pete, what was you going to jump in then?
No, I was agreeing that Smith Rowe looks a good prospect, man. They've got a couple of decent youngsters coming through. Martinelli, I know he's a decent enough player. Saka's good. And they're not the problem. The issue is they're trying to blood youngsters in with experienced players who are not really doing it or haven't done it for a little while. Like until recently, Lacazette's been all over the place. Aubameyang, he's back, scored a couple of goals recently, but before then was looking like he was struggling.
He's not playing for personal reasons, isn't he? The last
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is it's got to be a family bereavement. I guess there's nothing else I can think of that.
I heard that the personal reason was that he just doesn't like Arsenal anymore.
That is very personal.
Personally, I don't really like this club anymore.
Yeah.
Personally, myself, I don't want to play football anymore. I've had enough.
No, we hope if it is something serious that it is all okay and whatever's going on is resolved.
Little disclaimer.
Quick, get that in there, quick.
We're not that hideous. We are normal people. We understand the football.
Well, that's why I hate the cesspit of Twitter, of like when they say things like, "I hope someone breaks his leg." Why? And what? And why? How's that going to make you feel better about your miserable little existence?
That's like the picture of the guy.
If you don't like it, you don't like it. Don't do it back.
Stupid idiot.
There's that
Why are we on Twitter? I hate Twitter.
Tweet us, please.
We quite like Twitter, actually. We'll respond to your comments, we promise.
Please, we promise.
But no, after Van Dijk got injured, and there's that picture of that the guy in the nightclub in the Liverpool shirt saying that he was going to find Pickford and beat him up. It's so good. It's so like really descriptive for no reason. And it's like I can't what he said. He said something like, "Yeah, I see him all around these parts. I know some boys will break his little heart." It's really unnecessarily sinister, but funny at the same time because he's deadly serious, but is absolutely no threat whatsoever. But,
right, enough.
Anyway,
we need to move on before Ollie, I'll break your little heart. Just snap it in half. I've got some boys around here in Connecticut Village. Oh, I don't live in Connecticut. I don't live there. I used to, not anymore. But that's where my boys are. Right, anyway, let's roll through. Oh, very quick disclaimer though before we do move on. Pochettino, congratulations. Absolute champion. Trophy haul. Excessive trophy haul.
He beat COVID.
Exactly.
He did beat COVID as well.
And he beat COVID. 2 trophies.
Two bloody trophies.
You can't stop winning.
But, Ollie, what the bloody hell do you think it's time for?
It's time for that 6-a-side segment. Yes, it's that 6-a-side segment, and I'm bloody excited for this one. I've been tweeting about it, I've been thinking about it, I've been dreaming about it. So we're going into the Hunger Games. This squad, not old players, no ex-players, they're too old and feeble. We can't be sending them in there as dangerous. We're going with the current squad. Obviously, the same format with the 1 goalie, 2 defensive midfielders, 1 striker. Who in the Hunger Games survives? And to me, it's not just who's the big, strong one. It's who's got survival skills, who's going to be able to feed themselves, who's going to be smart enough to not engage when they shouldn't engage, who's a cold-blooded killer. So let's get into it. Goalkeepers to start. I think we might all go the same way here, but I'm not sure.
I haven't.
Oh, I'm going Hugo. I think he's intelligent. I think he'd be careful. I think he'd be able to survive. To me, you often look at footballers and they're not adults to me.
They're not adults.
Like, I don't reckon you feed yourself. I don't reckon you'd really be able to survive in the world if you weren't a footballer. But with Hugo, I look at him and think, you're an adult, you're a father, you could look after people, you could run this world, and you could be able to go into the wild, camp, and make sure that you're okay. So I put Hugo in there. I
also went for Hugo. Very similar reasons. I mean, not the fact that he is an adult, just the fact that he's very clever. He's got a good like he's sort of 35, isn't he? 36, I think now. He's of a good age to have looked after himself, and I think he's smart enough. But I think he's also got an aggressive streak that if he needs to kill someone, he could comfortably do it and not really be worried about it. So for me, Hugo,
bloody killer. I went Joe Hart.
Okay.
And here's my logic behind Joe Hart, chaps. I think he's just about the right amount of intelligent with the right amount of nuts. So I think he's matured. He's not that same player that played in goal for England and was all over the place. I think he's now come to a point in his career where he's intelligent. He's grown up a little bit. He's more mature, but he'll still fucking kill you if he has to. So that's why I went for Joe Hart. I understand why Lloris came in ahead of him, but that was my reasoning behind Joe Hart.
Well, you're wrong because we both said Lloris, so Lloris goes.
Okay.
To be fair, you probably wouldn't be far off if you picked either of them. Let's be fair. They would both kill Gazaniga instantly.
Yeah, we couldn't have Gaza when we all went for him to be the first dead, could we? Then flip it. He's a killer.
He's a cold-blooded killer.
We can take them all out. Right, defenders. Let's go into it. This is where it's a bit more tricky. You've got more choice. The first one I'll throw in is Toby. I think, again, he's a bit older. He's a bit more experienced. I think he'd be a bit smarter. I also think he'd probably be a bit handsy. I reckon he's quite hard. The Belgium, like any of our players we've had from Belgium have, to me, just been unable to be stressed or never scared. Like in the big games, they're not really phased. Yeah. Whenever you've seen the Halloween pranks, someone will go nuts in their face, and every single Belgian player has just been like, get out of it, like, and not bothered, and doesn't shake them at all. So Toby was an immediate pick. Second, I'm actually going to go with. No, I've changed my mind. I wrote this and I put Reggie on, but then I almost come away from it. I put Reggie because I think he'd be able to just run away and constantly survive and do quite well. But I'm going to change my mind, and I'm actually going to throw in Joe Rodon. I know he's young, but I reckon he's pretty hard, and I do think he's quite humble as well. So I think he'd be like, I probably could take that guy over there. I probably could kill Winksy right now. But I'll only do it if he comes over here.
Is that humble or is that laziness?
No, it's humble. It's a risk for me to go over there. I could easily kill him, but only if he troubles me. And that's how I think he'd get through and do quite well. So that's the two I'll go for.
I have gone for Joe Rodon as well. He was one of the first ones I thought of. Just I thought he would just head anyone that comes near him. Just straight to the head, bang. And yeah, I think again he looks quite handsy. He looked like he'd definitely hold his own. He's a big lad. He could definitely sort of win a fight if he needed to, I think, and that's kind of the key of the Hunger Games. And then as well, I've also gone for Reguilon for the fact that I think he's an absolute nutter. And I think he would either chase anyone down until they run out of energy, because he doesn't ever seem to run out of energy, or conversely, just run away continuously until they ran out of energy, because he never runs out of energy. And like, yeah, he's definitely got a bit of a nastiness to him. He's very driven. I think he would excel in the Hunger Games.
This is where it gets interesting. I've also gone Toby. I just had him down as cool, calm, and collected, just killing people, just
killing people.
Doesn't need any pace to deal with it. He's just smart enough to understand. He sees the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is him winning the Hunger Games. I also went Reguilon based on pace and getting away with things. I do think, though, I was sitting there thinking, he's a bit too erratic at times, and that's what's going to cost him. And so, off the back of that, my vote outside of my ones would be for Rodon, if it got to that point. Because I think, isn't there two for Toby, two for Reggie, two for Rodon? So I would vote for Rodon.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. It doesn't work. Because, it doesn't
three
work.
people.
So you got to vote for two, and I would be voting.
All right, I'll vote for Rodon and Reggie. No, I'm joking. I'll go Rodon and Toby would be my two to go in.
Yeah, so would I. But that's the two I voted for. But I'd be doing that as well.
I'd be happy to put Toby in. I can't want Reggie in there. I feel like he's. But you're right. He would definitely die doing something stupid, or being too brave. So let's go for
someone who was above his level, wouldn't he?
Yeah, let's go for Joe Rodon. He'll just head Reguilon off a cliff, and there we go. Job done.
That's
or if you chuck a brick at him,
Rodon will be there going, "Look, I won't kill him unless he comes over here," and Reggie will be like, "Ah!"
And he'll just like step out of the way and just run off a cliff or something like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, fine. Happy with it. All right, midfield. Ooh. Okay.
I think these might be the same, but let's see.
I reckon so.
I reckon one definitely.
Yeah, there's one. I think it's two that we'll all go for personally, but we'll see.
So they've all popped in Højbjerg. I'm guessing. Surely we've all thrown the Viking in there.
Yeah.
He's got all of it, and then the second one was dirty little Coke spoon. I'd be going for. I just can't see Lamela not doing well. I mean, he could be the same as well. His arrogance might get him. Oh Christ, look at
Tintin.
Oh, it's better that time. Every time it changes, every single time. Lamella, to be fair, he could get caught out via arrogance, but he's definitely got an ego to Coco. But he's so sneaky and he's so clever with it. Like things on the pitch, you know, like the battle of the bridge when he like trod on Fabregas's hand, and then he turned around and was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing? What are you doing?" Looking to ref like, "Why is he attacking me?" And I was like, "Get away from him! He's done nothing wrong." And as soon as they showed it, I was like, "Oh, he's an incredible actor." I was so impressed.
Play dead.
Oh, honestly. So maybe he might not be there at the end and winning, but if you're doing like a Call of Duty kill haul, he's definitely getting up there for amount of kills, I reckon.
Oh, that's good.
Just dirty ones, like when people are sleeping, just killing them when they're asleep or whatever, or just suffocating with a pillow. I could see Lamella just capable of anything. That's how dark.
Two Coke spoons blocking the nostrils.
Or just Pete, just gradually overdosing them.
Eat your medicine.
It's good for you, Reggie. It's good for you. You'll have a good Christmas this year.
Oh no. No.
And again with Reggie, the naivety there, maybe he wouldn't have lasted.
It's possible. So we haven't really spoken about is the politics and how people might team up. And this is why I'll throw this one in there. Sorry, I won't because we're done with.
It's not your turn.
And I'll throw a third. I want another one in there.
I'm going to keep rolling.
And you go.
So I also went for Højbjerg for the fact that he's Højbjerg and he'd probably win. He'd probably the candidate to win. Actually, at the end we'll decide who would win. Actually,
yeah, the captain's armband, if you will.
Yeah. But I didn't even think Lamella, but you make a very, very good case, Jez, for Lamella, I have to admit. And he's definitely a good option. But I've gone for quite a probably boring pick now, but I've gone for Musa Sissoko. For the fact that he's just going to endure everyone else, and he's got a very strong mentality, very strong physical presence. He strikes me sort of just crush someone's skull, like in Hunger Games, in the Game of Thrones. Very much like that, like the Mountain. So I would probably go for Sissoko, but I wouldn't mind Lamella.
Sissoko would have allies as well, though.
Yeah.
As we know, like the leader of like the French unit. Maybe Lloris kind of comes away. I think he kind of does his own thing, but he definitely has some allies, so he's not a bad shout at all. Go on, Pete.
Well, you'll be pleased to know, Ollie, that I have also gone for Coke Fiend, Coke Spoon Lamella.
Nice. The assassin. He's got like someone's tied someone's like intestines to his head or something like that. And just moves on, and he's got a rusty knife now. That's all he's got. And he just sniffs and just moves.
No, he's got a rusty Coke spoon. He does not need.
I've actually got visions of Lamella like wrestling a tree stump, but in his head because he's so out of it on coke, thinking he's got like Musa Sissoko in a headlock, but it's a tree stump, and other people just sort of looking at him going, and just carrying on walking past, and that's how he's going to outlast people. Pure craziness.
Just fear.
And man's wrestling a tree stump. Yeah, I went Højbjerg and Lamella for very similar reasons to Jerry.
That puts them in then.
Send them through. Right, to the striker. Well, in this again, I had the same choices. So for me, it was between Sonny and Vinicius. But I went for Carlos. I just think Carlos looks a bit naughty. I reckon he's definitely a nice chap, but I just feel like he could get himself riled up and get himself into the zone where he was going to need to be at absolute survival mode, do something that he needed to, get a bit handsy. Whereas Sonny may be great with a pistol, but there ain't no pistols in the Hunger Games. Thank you very much. There aren't any. I'd have to see with some archery or get a sword out. I just don't see Sonny being nasty enough, like we said before, to really get down with it. I think he'd survive for a while, but by just being a bit clever and hiding and running away a lot. Whereas Vinicius, I think, has got a bit more to him. That he is a possible contender to be near the end.
Wow.
So I went for Carlos.
Well, I had Carlos in my most like to die first. So
you did, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I limited myself to just two options. So
he did a two-man. Yeah.
I had to go for Kane, didn't I, to win? I picked Kane just for sheer graft and determination and just sheer mentality, and just he would just be really just work really hard and just get around and just have a odd skill to be good at the Hunger Games.
You said he'd be a great archer.
Yeah, it'd be good shooting, wouldn't it? Let's be fair. Very accurate.
With his toes.
With his toes. I also went for Kane because he's the best.
Yeah. That worked.
He's the best at football. Doesn't mean he's the best at killing people.
Yes, it does. That skill goes into the other. Those that are the best at football are the best at killing people. You don't do any reading before the pod, do you? Okay. You've done no background research on this at all.
And how have you found that you've read that Kane's footballing ability means that he's a killer? Why are you reading?
No. Not Kane's footballing ability. This is across all people, Joe. The best footballers make the best killers.
What's your source?
Well, you'd have to do your own research to find out.
I'm not referencing. I'm not giving you reference.
No, I had Kane down in just the way he is clever. That was what I had him down as. The fact that he's so clever in buying fouls and drawing people in, and then that's when he kills you.
All right, fine. So Kane's in. I'm not happy about it, but he's in. So let's do, right.
The
Hunger
team
Games comes to the end. Ollie, no, wait. We're going to give a captain's armband, the champion.
Well, we need the team to decide who's going to win.
Go on then. Lay it out. Lay it on the table for me.
So,
put it on the table for me.
In goal, we've got Hugo Lloris. In defence, Alderweireld and Reguilon. In the midfield, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Mr. Cokespoon. And up front, Harry Kane. So now to decide the winner of the Are You Not Entertained Hunger Games. Six aside. Jerry, stop talking. This is very dramatic. Go.
These six are there at the end, right? The circle's enclosed, like on Call of Duty.
Battle Royale.
Circle's enclosed. So they have to come into the middle. They have to meet. These six are left. Who wins? Ollie, pick first.
So how I see it playing out is like this. Lloris dies first out of the six. He's gone. Unfortunately, he's just not quite got enough to get him across the line. I think that we then see, since Sissoko tried to go for something, fail. He's gone.
Sissoko's not even in the team.
He's in my team. He's not in that team. You are correct.
Yeah, you just said, I'll read out the team so we know who's in it.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll cast your mind back 30 seconds before I said that. Let me just get the team up to make sure I get the right people in the right places. Reguilon goes charging across the centre of the circle, dies straight away.
Reguilon's not in the team
either.
Here he is.
No, he's not.
Oh, it's Rodon, isn't it?
It's Toby and Rodon. This has become a farce.
I even read out Reguilon. That's why I read out Reguilon. That's why I confused myself. Anyway.
Ollie, stop the take.
Højbjerg wins.
This is how I see it playing out. Gazaniga dies first. Swiftly followed. No, I think I would probably go for Højbjerg as well. I think I agree, Lloris. And the problem with it closing in, that's where your more intelligent people struggle. So they close in and meet in the middle. Lloris goes, Lamela the sneak goes. And then I think it's between the bigger ones. And I think Højbjerg just through pure, unbelievable will to win stays alive and gets to the end.
Well, I'm going to go against that. And I'm going to actually vote for Coco Lamela to win it. Reason being, here's where I think Lamela's coming in. I think Lamela and Højbjerg come in kind of side by side, and they're almost allies throughout the process. I think they work together for a time. He's lucky that Lamela didn't kill him in his sleep already. But Lamela, we get to the circle. It comes to the end. Sissoko's over there with Lloris. Lamela and Lloris, clever boys. They're saying to each other, they're saying, Musa, did you know that Højbjerg said he's much harder than you?
Sissoko's not in it.
No, he's made it to the last circle.
No, he hasn't.
Ollie put him there. Right, regardless, take him away. The point is, Lamela is going to convince Højbjerg to go up against one of the other bigger boys. He's going to convince him to go up against Rodon, convince him to go against Toby. They're going to clash. They're going to get hurt. They're going to tire each other out. Lamela all the time circling on the outside. Eventually he's coming in and he's finishing people off. And he's doing it from behind, stabbing them in the bloody gillards and taking them out that way. So I give it to Lamela because I think that he convinces Højbjerg to go up against people when he doesn't need to. And he does it with his drive. And like you say, Højbjerg won't go down. He will not die. But he will do when Lamela sneaks up behind him and finishes him with a nasty corkscrew to the throat.
See, I would say that Lamela would win the award of the most kills, but he wouldn't win the actual thing.
Mm.
So we're giving the armband, the champion of the six-a-side, to Højbjerg. Is that correct?
Musa Sissoko.
Sissoko. With Reguilon in second place. Well done, chaps.
Congrats, Højbjerg.
Congrats to our fearless winners, really. And we've now not got a Tottenham Hotspur. We've just killed everybody else. So we just have Højbjerg, and that's it.
That's true.
And we build around him. We build a team around him. Yeah. And that's how we move forward.
We rebuild.
Right, let's finish it up, chaps. Massive game on Thursday. We're just a couple of days away now at point of recording. Let's do a little prediction for it. Let's get our score lines and also one niche thing. It's tough because they're not. Liverpool are always a scary beast. Always, they're a great side. They have great players, but they're not in form. They've struggled. They've been struggling for goals. They didn't score like 4 games in a row, didn't they?
They're not scoring the league in 2021.
Yeah, and up stepped Tottenham Hotspur. The gentleman defenders opening doors. In you go.
After you. No. After you.
Please, by all means. Hugo's there. Nah, can. Anyway, into the scores. I really don't know where it's going to go. It's really tough to predict this because we should be going in confident. Did you know? I am going to go in confident. I'm going to put us down to win this game 2-1.
Confident.
I'm confident we're going to win 2-1. No, do you know what? I'm confident we're going to win 2-0. We're going to see them out. We're going to do a Mourinho masterclass. I'm going for 2-0. See them out. My niche thing, I'm not going to do the same as before. My niche thing is that both goals will be in the first half and it'll be a clean sheet for the second. So they'll bat on the door the second half, but we'll always be comfortable. So I'm going nichely that we get a clean sheet, both goals in the first half, 2-0 win. That's what I'm going for.
I'll take it.
I'm less confident. I just see Spurs. They've not scored this year yet. They've been in woeful form. You know, we always struggle against Liverpool. I'm going to go for a ridiculous 3-3. And I'm going to say that Bergwijn will redeem himself and score
twice.
The first
goal.
That might be a bit too niche. I might say he might just score.
No, you've said it now. Too late.
Okay.
This is so hard to call, isn't it? And thus I shall sit on the fence with a 1-1 draw. And I'm going to go for Liverpool. I'm going to go really niche. Liverpool to get given a penalty that is then overturned by VAR.
Nice.
There you go.
Can you tell me at what point that will be in the score?
The score will be 1-1, Jerry. I've already done that bit. Pay attention.
At that point, though.
At that point.
At the point when the penalty is given and taken away. No, it will be 0-0 at that point.
Even Nisha.
And it will be in the 17th minute there. I've said it.
and what second exactly, Peter?
Oh, now you're being gruff, Ollie.
Pete, if that happens, you can have 1 million points.
Can I? Yeah, I think I deserve 1 million.
100%.
You can absolutely have 1 million points for that.
Which would put me on 2 million points after for Tanguy playing 90 minutes.
Yeah, that would be true. That would be true if it was voted that way.
Well, on that note, 1 million points on the door. Peter riding high. 2 million points ahead of the both of us.
That's not true. You got a couple of correct scores, Jesse. You got a couple of points.
That's right. Thank you.
2 million to 2-0.
Yeah.
It's a 2-horse race, I reckon.
Close.
This season. But chaps, it's been a pleasure. We will definitely be back. I mean, maybe we'll do something around the Liverpool game, depending on how well it goes. So,
or we might go into hiding for a few weeks, like we did over Christmas when we kept losing.
We do not record when we lose. We only record when we win.
We are a positive podcast or YouTube video or
exactly
YouTube
that,
or whatever we're going to call ourselves. We are positivity.
And this week, I will say, I'm going to ask myself, and yes, I was entertained by the last game that we watched. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed watching Bale, even when he struggled. I just love him. So thanks, chaps. Thanks to everyone for viewing. If you did manage to get all the way this through, God bless you, because it was a bloody difficult watch. We appreciate you sticking around.
We went off the rails slightly towards the end.
But cheers, guys. All the best. Bye-bye.
Yeah, boys.
Thank you.
Love.